G'day everyone, welcome back to Norri Factory. As you can see, we're back in the workshop. We've got the Mustang back on the hoist. Look, it's good to be back, and after being down at Motorex with all the cars that we've seen down there and the style, I was pretty excited to get back and work on the Mustang. We don't have to purchase any more parts. We've got everything we need for the Mustang except for the exhaust system. Got a little bit of time in between GTR Fest where the car's down in Sydney. Got probably 3 weeks of at home here before we go back down there to take the car to possibly hot import nights. The week after that will be GTR Fest, and we're definitely going to be there for that. So in the meantime, we've got a little bit of a surprise, and that is, well, I wanted to do something that was going to be nice and quick, not take too long, and yeah, so we've managed to get hold of one of probably Nissan's second best motor, the first being the RB26. Now this is an RB25 NA. So it's not a turbo, it's not a Neo, it's just a NA bottom end. And so no oil squirters, they manage the heat with E85. And I tell you what, last year it had a Pulsar turbo on it, and the guys that run this car were having a little bit of trouble with it. So we sort of convinced them to give GCG Garrett a go. Now, it always had a Garrett on it and it worked. They swapped to a different name turbo and it wasn't quite playing the game. So what we managed to do was get his old turbo, but get the new version, which is a Gen 2 Supercore. This is a Garrett GTX 3072 or 3071, I believe we're going to retain that turbo. We're not going to touch this motor inside. Brad is more than happy with how this motor's operating. I can see a bit of wear in the camshafts and things, so I think it will need a rebuild soon. It is a drift car motor, so it does get that absolute neck ringed out of it. But I tell you what, it stands its own. This motor is on the limiter non-stop from as soon as it warms up to the get-go, right till the end of the day when the last run's done. And it's never let him down other than just small ancillary things, you know. But internally in the motor, not a problem at all. 535 horsepower at the treads as it sits. It's also got a pretty cool manifold on it, which I like. The runners are nice and long, which is going to keep the response up. Injectors, I'll have to tell you the size. I know they're Bosch injectors, which we love. So yeah, let's tidy this thing up. We're going to strip it down. We're going to do some zinc bolting. We're going to do some powder coating. We're going to go all out on this motor to make it look good for Brad's new S15 drift car. Off camera, I've actually already obviously started taking the valve covers, rocker cover off, so they're up at Brad's being painted already. I've also dropped the gearbox and the clutch off it. Now the clutch was absolutely stuffed, so we'll show you some footage of that.
So we wasn't going to take the clutch off, and then we thought, you know, we would to get it on the engine stand, and I'm kind of glad we did take it off, because that feels like the Grand Canyon. It is not smooth at all. And then there's not much left on this. To be honest with you, this was probably done recently with the new turbo.
Yeah, well, with the old turbo, the laggier one, it was getting clutch kick like stupid,
kicking the shit out of it.
And even when Carl drove it once at Matsuri, it actually welded it together.
It got stuck.
Yeah, it got stuck. So I wouldn't be surprised if there'd be a bruiser from that.
Yeah, probably.
But now it's got, what, 600 at the crank now, or just
it would be probably 650 at the crank, I reckon.
This clutch is rated at 650, so it's right on its
and
that.
Look at all this, man. That's meant to be like this outside edge.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you get a blue tinge, you worry because it's a hot spot. This is just fucking like, it's been gouging, so it's been working. And like, there's no cracks in this flywheel whatsoever.
Yeah, and that's a lighted flywheel as well.
Yeah, it's a good clutch.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and yeah, the clutch was absolutely buggered to no man's. Like it had done its last run. So we're well into the build of the RB25, or strip down, I should say. There's a few things I want to point out, which is probably why we are doing this, but it's not just to make it look pretty, it's actually got to be functional as well. Now, there was a lot of power steering leaks around this area, so we're probably going to vapor hone the power steering pump, and we'll reseal it, new bearings, and put it back together for Brad. Now, what else we are going to do, just to make it clear, we're going to put a LS1 alternator kit on it from PRP.
I'm going to put an ATI pulley here because this one's just a bit crummy, and that's the whole idea, is we don't want crummy parts. Now I've got a brand new timing case cover or timing belt cover, so I'll put that on for Brad. So I've got a brand new one of these brackets here, a cast bracket. We'll swap that over. The biggest sort of hurdle we've got to go across is we have to make this top radiator hose come out the back of the engine, because it's going to be a full comp car. So a comp car here in Australia means the radiator goes to the rear, you have a whole roll tubed front end. So pretty cool. So to do that, and yeah, obviously they don't want the hoses coming out the front and turning and going all the way to the rear, if we can just have it coming out the rear. But there's little things on this motor that, see the adjuster on the alternator, like that's just on the piss big time, and that it's the reliability thing that these guys need. That's what they need, reliability. This is not reliable, that's going to cause issues. So that's not good, that's not good. The power steering oil leaks weren't good. Some of these hard lines are not good. That's not good. This is all pretty good. Yeah, let's keep stripping it down so we can probably get it all stripped down and get some parts sent off Monday to be cleaned. I'm going to start pulling apart the front of the motor. I've got a water pump on way. We've got this new timing cover here, which is a Nissan part number. So that'll go straight on. It looks like I've got some gifts here too.
Delivery for Norri.
Got a bit of a, oh, that's perfect. So we're gonna get, I was actually gonna order Brad one, but he's actually got one. So that's brand new too.
Brand new, never been used, bro.
Yeah, that's perfect. So that's gonna look much cleaner. It'll go with the rest of the build. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Just come out.
What have you found, mate?
Well, you wouldn't believe it, but in our Chinese manifold from China, was these, we're just rustling around in the box and there's these insane fireworks.
Has this one got a short fuse too?
It does. It's
got to run. Oh, yeah,
Yeah?
Approximately 10 hours later.
We've spoken to Tuff Mounts before, and we've actually worked with Tuff Mounts quite closely because we actually have a set of Tuff Mounts in the Mustang. So if you sort of look down the side, one Tuff Mount down in there, which is pretty neat. So this thing is mounted by Tuff Mounts, and look, they were good. We did have a bit of trouble getting the engine mounts in, but that was to do with the old 67 hardware. We ended up using 1968 model stuff, I think, and it went straight in. Spoke to him about the R32 GTR, and we did actually tell him that, I actually said to him that I wasn't overly happy with how I had it mounted. So remembering that we've got one Nismo mount in this car, and then on the hot side is actually a Dartone Racing solid engine mount. So they sort of recommended their engine mounts, which is great. I'd love to give them a go. So when we got back home from Melbourne, I had a nice little package. Now, this box is from the guys at Tuff Mounts, #MakeItFit. They actually do engine mounts for nearly every sort of engine swap you can think of, which is really cool. It's a great Australian company, and I recommend that you check them out. And I did open this up, but I haven't seen in here yet. So looks like we've got a workshop flag. Thanks for choosing Aussie made Tuff Mounts. Not a problem at all, guys. I appreciate the workshop banner. So we got some stickers, pack of stickers. Let's have a look at the actual engine mount. Look at this. That's insane. Good work. They do really good work. Don't get me wrong, don't use these as an OEM replacement. These are an OEM upgrade for a high power motor in your standard vehicle, okay? So, a couple of engine mounts, a couple more stickers, and then we've just got instructions to fit them, which is pretty simple. So, shout out to Tuff Mounts, thank you for sponsoring.
If you look down inside there, you can see a little slot where the cam gear needs to be, or the cam that has the pin in it that's broke. You can sort of see where it's meant to sit and where it was bolted up. Now the pin goes in the end just there, and that sort of slides on and it's locked on. So this had actually shifted, snapped that pin off. I don't know where the pin went, it sort of just squashed it. It has actually damaged the cam, but we did manage to do a bit of surgical procedure and pull that out. So Brad's got a new one coming. But what I do have in the stock is these new seals, cam seals. So I've pulled them off, as you would have seen, and we're gonna clean up those cams. And we've got 2 new genuine seals to go in the cam caps. When you do these seals and you do undo the cam caps, never ever undo any more, because the cams are made out of cast steel and the caps are pulled down against the valve springs. If you undo them, you can actually cause a snap in the cam shafts. Just doing the end 2 like that is fine, that won't hurt anything at all. There we go, new seals, love it. Just nip them up just till they touch, and then we'll go get the torque wrench and torque them down. New seals, let's put these cam covers on and check out the colour black. Disgusting, filthy, decrepit looking. What is it? Yucky. Oh my God. What is that? This thing been running on coal. Look, it's stuck open. See that? See how it's stuck open? So this wraps up the first episode of a 2-part series, I guess, on the RB25 build. So fresh water pumps on, the cam gear is being repaired, that little dowel I've done. Torqued these back up to spec. We've got a new backing plate on, we've got our new cam covers on, we've got new hardware along here. Great job on the paint, I like it. Black is cool, it's got a fleck through it, and we kept the old Tomei logo through it, which is really cool. So we're sort of waiting on some parts now, and it's all cool stuff, so I'm sure you'll see that next week. We'll put the injectors back in, the fuel rail back on. I've got a HKS timing belt to go on it. We was contemplating putting a clear RB26 clear cover on the front just to give it that drift spec, but it's not going to work out. I think the black looks fantastic, so we've still got to give this a good bath. I'm going to try and paint the block a bit. It's coming together quite nicely. I hope you enjoy this one. It's got an awesome turbo, which we'll put back together and bolt up on it. It's a GCG. It's a ripper turbo, so I hope you're enjoying it, and we'll catch you next week. Like, comment, and subscribe.